Okay, so I only have like two pages left of the text that I've written out, so I'm gonna read from the book actually and see maybe if we can't just add a little bit of modern day context to this really quick. So this is from November 7th. The major outlets have now all called the election for Biden, even Fox. He's accepting the congratulatory calls from the foreign leaders, and his transition team is beginning to plan appointments and hirings on January 20th, pending the peaceful transfer of power, which I personally don't think is in doubt, though others are fretting to make it simple. The generals seem to fucking loathe Trump. It will be over. Donald Trump will be gone. It would be so exciting if you didn't have to wait out these intervening months. It's so exciting anyways. The Trump doesn't coincide, hasn't coincided. So Rudy Giuliani wants America's mayor for the benighted period of about 5 years. Seems to be taking the legal helm in Trump's lavish claims about fraud, which are pure nonsense, not connected to reality, but the belief in these charges of fraudulence among Trump's really zealous supporters is absolute. They find videos of poll workers fixing equipment, which go viral, only to be proven innocent, by which time there are 2 more grainy videos, 10 more rumors about Democrats stuffing ballot boxes. Unfortunately, for the optics of their side in their fight, Giuliani, or his today accidentally booked 4 Seasons total landscaping in Pennsylvania instead of the 4 Seasons hotel downtown, which was where Trump had earlier directed his supporters in a tweet. Either that or the hotel realized that they didn't want Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani there. The press conference went briefly on. So Rudy talking in front of what turned out to be a low-slung anonymous brick building flanked by a crematorium and a sex shop. After 4 years of lifestyle stories about him driving me up the wall, I kind of want to know what Trump is thinking and doing in these moments of loss. Perhaps contemplating 2 sides of Henry's ruminative plaint. In Henry's fifth, what's infinite heart's ease? Must kings neglect that private men enjoy? So many words of Shakespeare's have entered English already, but I think we should make room for the heart's ease. I would love to have some infinite heart's ease. I don't need any more infinite jests. It was a long 4 years, excuse me. Wow. So this is November 9th. Now, earth-shattering news. The news. The Pfizer vaccine works in humans and should be easily approved for use. Holy shit. It might start being distributed as soon as December. As we hear from Nathan, and then shortly thereafter in the media, there's a wonder in people's eyes when I go for a walk this afternoon, and then in their nods, their glimpses at each other, I feel shaken with hope. It's like caffeine. It turns racy very fast. I'm not ready. I can practically reach out of my fingers and touch. My fingers and touch December, which is funny because I remember March when 3 weeks inside seemed like an eternity. Now it's a blink. What an overwhelming 6 days to defeat Trump and to cash in on all of the coins of hope from the tin can bank and get the news of working vaccine. That's a numb, exhilarating tone online. The idea of an ending too much to comprehend. not a partial ending, not a reopening with risks, not this unending vigilance, but a true ending. The good news is discordant. In LA, the largest number of COVID cases today, in 3 months, a flashing red alarm that the surge could become permanent. But we have a vaccine. We can sit in our living rooms and wait this out at last, with a real ending in sight, not a vague one. None of us on Slack can quite believe it, not even Nathan. In fact, it's hard to conceive life after this at the moment. Walking maskless into a cafe full of people, the idea is so remote now. Even the idea of getting a coffee at the drive-thru without a mask is horrifying. There's no way, is there? The prediction on Twitter is that people with specific conditions may be in the 3rd or 4th group to be vaccinated after medical workers and senior citizens. But it will be up to the states how they're distributed. I'll go a little bit longer for this because I really only have the 2 pages, so I'll finish this day out. More. I've seen more than a few people that have said that between Trump and COVID, it's like a war has ended this week. It has been, in a sense, more of a war, quote unquote, as experienced by most Americans than anything that's happened since Vietnam. It's always a small number of people who fight a war from your country, in the case mostly medical workers, frontline workers, the minimum wage class. The majority of people's jobs in a war is to sit at home and save tin and string and worry. And in fact, that's exactly what we did. So it is that when a war ends, question mark, in this case, it's like a slow untwisting breath by breath of some core inner nerve that has been corkscrewed to its highest intensity for 4 years. We can still be mad, but we don't have to be only mad. The days are finally cooling off, and we're heading towards my favorite season in Los Angeles, winter, when there's a mix of rain and sun, mild days and chillier ones, and the air clear, and the mountains in the distance, white and gray with the snow again. It's a whippy, windy night. The sky blank, a huge upward gray white veer like sadness. I sit out in the yard in a sweater and headphones and smoke, feeling the cool saline air from the Pacific as it blows through the trees. I've come to appreciate what it means to be at home more during this, instead of turning against it in the end. What does home mean? No need to hurry. A Virginia Woolf said, no need to sparkle, no need to be anybody but oneself. The vaccine is 90% effective. They would have been pleased with 60%. Apparently, it seems like a miracle. So yeah, that's kind of good. I didn't think it would be so conscious stream of thought, but I like it as good. So let's see, this king of France is murdered basically. So we can get to the point in which we have established that lastly capitalism takes over and everyone is left to fend for themselves in this order to outlive this pandemic that they are unable to avail. All of these different types of revolutions, trading empires, wage labor helps to establish the world in which they are soon put to a test of strategy with World War II as the Great Depression. The Great Depression emerges in less than a decade with these political power struggles of India and Europeans, submission to the English and Russian and Japanese feudal system, so aiding women's opportunity for some sort of political order within the global trading market. This political revival establishes the mercantile system of governance. As previously mentioned, the tributary system was often no more than a thin cover for trade, and that foreign merchants, especially the Muslim traders who were ambiguous amongst the Central Asia Caribbean routes and the southern seaport lanes, often posed an envoys in order to engage in trade that takes over the world economic market, and as capitalists establish a free-for-all system, cultural exchange within the world market that has established in centralized areas of all seaport systems of trade among the urban elites that begin to reintegrate the trade relations with moguls of Eurasia, and in a push to open the western border for trade. So French enforced through their exclusivity of gunpowder and the access to textiles and ready-made garments as resources to fight off the English Parliament and their territorial confines, being to continue in and indicate war state to avoid the collapse of their confines, begin to continue to indicate war in an indicated war state to avoid this collapse of their economy, as settling the land disputes amongst the agricultural peasantry class, and there was some certainly caused a collapse of the English system of governance. Ottoman Empire struggles to maintain order in the Western Hemisphere. A number of intellectuals and empire embrace the national secularism, so within the Ottoman Empire, to preserve it as a modern nation state based on the Western government, and this would collapse after the 1918 political secular national movement, Islamic with its influence. So within the national nation state to be secular nationalist versus the Saudi monarchy, Iranian nationalizing the oil industry to provide a redisbursement among the participants of the free market world economy, began an agreement amongst secular nationalists in order to preserve a modern state and include Japan's industrial control of the playing field. The crisis industry owned by the British begins to experience conflicts from this cultural exchange on the world stage through language barriers. So the global superpower in the United States participates in the place of China, or the Chinese, on the world stage, strategically employing an alliance against undermining the military forces that have these harsh relations, based in large part to the contradictory theologies now densely populating the Mediterranean ports of Lebanon, Egypt, and the English territories. They begin to establish an educational reform and westernized approach to medicine. The exhausted authoritarian system of governance from the French continue to take inventory. A clash of cultures establishes relations with the Sudan, Sunni, and the oil industries over the push for Western modernization. Large-scale investments in the art and culture developments, while the agriculture field suffers growing unrest, in part for Iranian, because the modernization, the cleansing of the traditional marketplace of the Bakari, the cultural influence of closing markets and medical conflicts similar to the open political systems, conservative views of their modernizations of consumer culture, the modernization of Middle East, the workforce of women to be created despite the traditional nuclear family, and the preservation of stay-at-home characterization of a radical system of organization amongst the caste systems of modern-day Iran. During this period of consumer paradise, industrialization of the modern economy creates economic disparities and conflicts on the world market, which are now on a rise. So these points are made in the modern-day galleries as political protests for women's equal rights take place in today's American society, which was fundamentally comprised by the Sultan ruler of having to apply Islamic law under free trade in areas that the consumer paradise spreads to Latin America and Japan. So they start to realize that these consumer dreams are made readily available. The Great Recession lingers into 2010 and 2011, the definition of family through the purchase of new identity and rapid economic growth being compromised and undermining the capitalistic mentality on the world stage. So I'm going to stop there and just upload what I have, and hopefully I have like 2 more packets of information. I don't have anything to like reiterate that I think isn't something that we haven't done enough of that so far. So I'm just gonna end, but I will get the pages online here shortly, and then I will get the rest of the content up as fast as I can.